Hello. Hi, Penville. You're always the first one here. Right on time. Actually, a bit early too. So how is everyone doing? Everyone having fun with Houdini? Oh, where's my... Oh, here it is. Hello, hello. So what is the topic that you enjoy the most so far out of the channel? I am curious to know. Is it Vellum? Actually, I haven't done any RBD destruction on the live streams yet. I have plenty of RBD destruction on the videos, like on the YouTube videos that I had posted before I started doing streams. Let's see. What are most of the live streams covering? Fem destruction, Vellum greens, SDF destruction. Oh, a lot of crowds and kineffects. Oh yeah, that's when I started. I think that's when it started. A Houdini released the kineffects, and I got really into it. Loading. Okay, now we're back. Oh, do you see me now? Sorry, it shows like the loading thing on my, but it says excellent connection. I don't get it. I think it's really flaky. It might be it looks like it's about to rain. So usually if my connection flakes out if it rains. I don't know why. It's probably flooding a transformer or a router somewhere. But let's see how it goes. I'll take this stream as far as I can go, just because the belt part 2 has been like, I was supposed to do it last week, and then I had a huge headache, so I wasn't feeling my best. I really want to get this over with, and we have so many more topics to go down from here. There's like Vellum clothing creation. Oh, I really want to show you this. This is for Tuesday. I had a shortcut right here. Where are you? Okay, this is it. It's just loading. I'm just gonna pull it over. Give it a second. This is Eevee. This is Blender's Eevee. And the rendering engine is so fast. Very, very fast. I can actually show this in real time. Ooh. Okay, there we go. This is one thing I love about Microsoft Windows, is that this resizing window was done very well. Other than that, there's not much to love about Windows 10. But this resizing windows is very, very convenient. So this is up for a sneak peek for Tuesday. Clothing creation. I added some sleeves to that vest. So if some of you have seen some of the recent tweets that I've been doing, I'll just pull that over as well. Some of the tweets that I've been doing is like, I've been working on this clothing. So this is the very first vest that I created. The original one where I was doing the Vellum skin was based on the side effects tutorial for Vellum skin and Vellum drape clothing creation. But the problem is that hip file was so heavy because it was so high quality. It was high polygon count. And it turned out really, really hard. This one, it turned out really, really hard on my computer and very hard on performance. So I had to start remaking the entire clothing. But even after remaking it, the scene file was so long. Like I was blessed with a low poly. I was rewarded with a low poly count clothing just because I recreated everything from scratch. But the scene file was just so long. I just couldn't figure a way how I would demonstrate this live. I mean, I would be talking forever and we would still never be done this scene file. So I came to the conclusion that I need a new piece of clothing, a simpler piece of clothing, something that would fit into a live stream. And so this vest was born. It's simple enough, and yet we're going to use the same techniques as the one in the side effects example. That's the Vellum. Let me pull it up so people know what I'm talking about. Was it Vellum tips and tricks? So it's this thing. Now this is very high poly, so this is very nice. But demonstrating this in a live stream might not be the best idea, just because it's very high quality, and it really takes toll on the computer. Not only that, the scene file is humongous, but I take the techniques that they teach, that they show you in this tutorial, and into this vest. So a lot of the techniques are in here, but it's simpler, it's condensed, it's low poly. So it's, especially when you're like experimenting while you're learning, oh, I wonder what happens if you change this parameter, that parameter. Well, it's nice to change the parameter and not have to wait like 5 minutes for it to cook. So this would give you a result in like, I don't know, 30 seconds or something. If you change a parameter, it's not as heavy. So this is coming for Tuesday, which I'm really excited about. I had a lot of fun with Substance Painter. This is the very first one, which doesn't look as great. This is the first round in Substance Painter, and then I learned a few more tricks, and I got this. So I started sticking my logo everywhere, and I was like, okay, wait, too much. Erase some. It was like here, 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 and then the front, and it didn't look nice on the front, so I took it out. I was like, okay, maybe just the arm and the back. So we're only going to be talking about the vest on Tuesday without the sleeves, because the sleeves got more complicated. Started, unless we have more time, which I doubt we'll have. At the rate I explain things, it's usually quite time consuming. Okay, so this is up for Tuesday. And this one has the seams. I put seam lines in here just to show you in the trailer. I had a trailer released out, I think yesterday or the day before, and that's the trailer for Tuesday's Vellum clothing creation, and that has a seamless UVs. This one has seams, and I actually put seam lines to show you that this one has seams, and I want to do a compare this one with give it a second to load. This one doesn't have seams, so if you look carefully, this is one piece of cloth, one continuous piece of cloth. So this is really nice, especially, I mean, this doesn't demonstrate clothing texture doesn't demonstrate it properly. I should put something with like some sort of image on here. So I'm gonna go back to that and then change this green fabric for something with a picture. So then you can see that the picture will carry across from the front all the way to the back and all the way to both sides seamlessly. So that's the advantage of having nice UVs. The arms are not. The arms here, there's a seam here, unavoidable seam here. But at the top, it wraps around nicely to here. So the top is seamless here. Anyways, that's Tuesday. I'm just really excited for this. It was very fun texturing this in Painter. I don't know if anyone is interested in seeing a Painter, casual tutorial on Painter maybe. Just gonna close this before it eats up my memory. Okay, so today, channel stuff, right? Let me make this smaller. So if anyone has any questions, you can post them in the chat. I'll answer them as soon as I see it. I check the chat every so often during the stream, so it's nice to get your questions in early. I'll quickly go over some of the membership stuff. So membership perks 1 and 2 will get the HDA and HIP file available for today. So if some of you have seen my teaser video, I'm just opening it up. Just this one. This is really large. I'm just going to turn down the sound. Okay. So this is the teaser video that I created a few days ago on the HDA, on the belt HDA that I created. During the first live stream on belts, let me just pull that up too. So this one was part 1. This one was the part 1 video. And we were manually creating the belt using curves and all that shit. Seamless, you mean not UV based, or is it UV based? Oh, it is UV based. Just give me 1 second. Here. It's gonna open another video. I hope this doesn't crash my computer. I have got to get more RAM. Clothing creation, seamless UV. This one. I was really proud of this. I don't know why. Oh, one thing I was really excited for this is that because these seams, okay, you can see here, this is the old one. This is the old Tommy doing his original, not old, original Tommy with the robe. And that's from the Side Effects Tips and Tricks video. You can see there's a seam here. Like these UVs don't match up. You see this, the 5 and the flipped L. This is not aligned. You can see that. I'm trying to like do a ruler to show you that it's not aligning. I don't know. And here's the UV. Here's one UV tile, 2, 3, 4 UV tiles. They're not aligned. And then, like, look at this. This thing is humongous. This hip node. This node network is humongous. So no way I can fit this into a live stream too. So there's a seam here. Just because that these UVs don't align. This one here is its own UV island, and this one here, and there's like a gap between here just because that they were UV'd like this. Like I threw on a UV projection when on the clothing patches directly. So this makes it not seamless. There's a disconnect from here. If you put a texture on here that has an image, it's going to get cut right here. And I show you what I mean. This is seamless. This is the simple version of the vest. So this is very seamless right here. These UV squares align straight. I also have another. I flip it to the back and then I weld these sides so that it looks like this. This is one piece. And if you UV this, there's not going to be this seam. You won't have any seams here. This is going to be one piece. I mean, you're going to have a slight seam on the shoulders. I realized a little later. But it's very insignificant. Look at this is aligning straight. This is what I wanted to show you. Like this is like straight here. I should have used a texture that with an image on to render it out with. I think that would demonstrate my point a little more clear. But that's something for Tuesday. So this is for Tuesday. So I still have some time. Okay, back to today. Right, Perk 1 and Perk 2 for today's live stream. We're doing the belts 2, part 2. So this was part 1. This was a stream a couple weeks ago. Now it was planned, part 2 was planned to be last week, but I wasn't feeling so well. So instead I had a casual Q&A live stream last week. And we have stuff to go over just because I ran out of time in the first part 1 on creating belts. So since then, I thought after doing the first live stream of creating the belt, there was a lot of manual work, like actual drawing the curve out, which I found really tedious. And I started to work on like a more procedural way, like an HDA. And thus this custom belt HDA was born. So all Perk 1 and Perk 2 members will get this. And but I'll actually really bad. Okay, just went back to excellent. Is anyone still listening to me? I'm just gonna get a drink of water since it's loading. It's choppy. Oh, it's really bad today. Yeah, it goes in and out. The connection goes in and out. It says excellent connection, but when it goes off, it's completely down. Okay, let's just march through. If it gets really, really bad, I'll reschedule again. I really don't want to, because we have so many more topics to talk about. But anyways, the HDA, I'm gonna rename this and not call it belt, and it's gonna be called knots, just because I wanted to do like a tie, like a man's tie, and I wanted to do a cowboy. I don't know what you call that hoop thing that they throw around on. I don't know what it's called. That string thing. I wanted to do those types of knots and have enhanced this HDA even more. So that might be coming down the road. Perk 2 will get the heavily edited version of the stream videos. So I'm still editing the first part 1 video from 2 weeks ago. So that's going to be coming. The mantra texturing baking. So in the last Vellum Belts part 1 video, I had, at near the end, I had a bonus, not really bonus, but I had some time to talk about mantra texture baking. And I didn't edit that part of the video. Well, it is edited. I haven't released it yet. So I haven't figured out if I should release this for members or just publicly for free, just because it's very short and it's not much to it. So that's going to be coming. This is still in the works. Just giving you a status update. Vellum clothing creation drape. Okay, as I mentioned, that's on Tuesday for the Vellum clothing creation. That's that vest. Yeah, and I talked about the substance painter, texturing it and putting my logo on. I don't know if anyone has any interest in knowing how I created the zippers for that vest. That's these zippers right here. Now this was created in ZBrush with IMM brushes, so it was super easy. It takes like 5 minutes. I don't know if anyone wants to see that. I can do that in a casual stream, like sort of a format, sort of like the last Q&A format, a casual one. So let me know in the comments if you want to see that. Vellum hair. Oh, I'm really excited in doing vellum hair. That is going to come after the clothing, so after Tuesday. I'm thinking of putting fur on the clothing. I don't know if men wears fur or not, but I just needed something to put fur on. So I don't know how it would look, but it was perfect for that teddy bear. Putting fur all over Oliver. So there was like these experiment scene videos I did. Oh, this one. So this is vellum hair and all over Oliver. This was very nice. And I noticed that you actually don't need the Vellum Solver. It's not necessary to have, it's not absolutely necessary to have the Vellum Solver to do vellum hair. I mean, it works, the results are much better, but it still works without it. I think this was it, was it? Oh, this was me not using Vellum Solver. So this is just with the groom hair, the hair guide nodes. Now, I don't know why it was flickering. This was a flip book, so it might have been just the lighting. Well, anyways, that's after Tuesday. That's after the Vellum clothing. Okay, getting that all out of the way. Now the previous stream. Okay, so this is part 2. So I'm just gonna go over really quickly on what part 1 was covering, and then we're gonna like make changes onto the part 1. And then I'm gonna briefly show you how to create that, turn it all in. The connection's going in and out really, really badly. Like, oh, it looks fine now. Oh, this is what I'm staring. It goes excellent connection and it goes drops to nothing. And I don't know. Should we keep going? Give me a sign. Is anyone still there? It's up again. Should I keep going? I feel like it's gonna knock out again. I don't know. Okay, you know what? I'll just keep going for a little bit. Let's try. Let's give it one more try. If it goes down one more time, I will reschedule. Because I don't know if this is terrible performance. Like, I don't know how you might think this is really annoying. On I'm looking at in your perspective, in the viewer's perspective. If it keeps going down, I don't know if people will like that. But it looks fine now. It's like it's fooling me around. It's trying to trick me. It's like I'm fine, and then the connection just there it goes again. Okay. There it goes. Okay. I don't know. It's raining, so it's not very reliable. Anyways, for hair cards, I've actually done it before in the thing, one of the experiments for a tune shader. I turned it all into like all pieces of hair, turned it into hair cards, and then exported it into Blender, added a tune shader on it, and it turned not so well. It didn't turn out well. I ended up converting the hair into polygons and then shading it with the tune shader, and that turned out nice. The hair cards was really hard. But I think that would be useful though, just because that's how you do trees and leaves. Okay, never mind. I'm not gonna find it. It's somewhere in there. Okay, let's march through and just pray that the connection stays up. So, brief recap of the last live stream. So that's the part 1. That is part 1 of this. So that's this part 1. I'm just going to recap what we did really, really quickly. As quick as I can go. Oh, let me stop this. So that's in this one here. So I have it nicely labeled. Oh, now my computer's starting to... Let me close some of these. Okay, that's better. So, in the last live stream, when we did the belts, wow, this is really slow. My computer is lagging. I wonder why. Okay, if you remember this dude, the curve was created manually using, the belt was created, the shape of the belt was drawn with a curve manually. So you drop down a curve node and just draw like the really rough shape of the knot. Then you use the edit, but I did mention that you should drop down the poly wire down so you can actually see the depth of your string or your cloth, and then use the edit to manually get it into place. Now, if you look here in the last live stream, there wasn't to the high. I forgot to. Okay, I'm just gonna, the caches are incorrect. There we go. Okay, this is more high poly. This is more, the polygons are more dispersed. They're remeshed more evenly. The polygon topology is more evenly spread out. So this is nicer topology for the Vellum Solver to work with. However, it is a higher polygon version, and it does not have nice UV. So here I've lost my UVs. If I connect this here, so this is like, if you look carefully, you're going to get messed up UVs here, as opposed to my original one with here. So there's nicely UV. So that's the reason why I needed to put a point deform at the end to transfer this Vellum Solver on from the high quality mesh to the low quality mesh with low poly and nice UVs. But it wasn't working properly in the last stream. Okay, let's do this. Oh, the paint's wrong. Just because I lost my cache. It wasn't performing as well in this. Let me do this quickly. Okay. Stiffness. Okay. There you go. Let's do this. There you go. And then when you, this is the low quality knot that is generated by the Vellum Solver. Now we're going to use the point deform and transfer it to the low poly mesh with good UVs. This is, it starts to mess up, right? Let me do a subdivide just to make it more clear. Now, this is the part where it starts messing up. Like this. Yeah, a cloth is not supposed to do this. It's because of, you're getting these artifacts here and here because of the error that I had in the last live stream. Right here, this overlap. So make sure your knot is not overlapping in the original shape. It cannot overlap. So this little, that tiny little overlap caused all that problem. Now, I fixed the overlap using another edit just to move it over a bit. So that's what this edit does. It edits the curve, and you can see here it's not overlapping anymore. So we have a nice knot shape now. So that fixed that issue. Now if we run it through, the problem is I have to repaint it again. Because if you look here, the paint's all gibberish. And it takes 1 second. Okay, let's see. Let's just do this. Doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, let's see. I think we got most of it. Okay, let's try it. Let's run it through the Vellum again. Okay, now let's do the point deform. So this is the low poly with nice UVs. That, now let's subdivide it. Okay, so you don't have that artifact anymore. Okay, let's take out the UVs. You don't have that artifact that we were seeing with the bulging, yeah, that artifact, that thing that was sticking out at the end. You don't have that anymore. Now you can turn up the subdivide. It won't affect the UVs. It'll just subdivide the UVs as well. If you want something higher quality, like there you go. And if you don't like this knot, like it looks like it's starting to untie itself. Okay, go back. There you go. It's because this Vellum Solver here is a little too low poly. This is way too low poly. If I wasn't streaming, I wouldn't remesh. So this file is available in for Perk 1 and Perk 2 users, just so you know. It was in here. It was in this file here. This is what was in the file. I'm just showing you what was wrong in the last live stream. Paint, vellum, properties, create UVs, not, where is the remesh here? So this one, create geometry more suitable for the Vellum Solver. This is the low poly one. This is our shape, our belt shape, and then you have to remesh it so it works nicely. So it plays nice with the Vellum Solver. And I was using 0.05. Now I would use, if I wasn't streaming in the last stream, I would use 0.01 or something with that results in a higher poly count for the Vellum Solver. And it would be a lot better. You'll have better results in the Vellum Solver knot tie when it actually simulates the knot tie here. And another tip is that if you're still not getting the results, nice results that you need, try to turn up the subsets and slow down the time scale. So those are some of the things, tips and tricks, and improving the belt. Now, in today's stream, what I did was all this part was manual work. And it was very, very tedious. So I took all this and I made it more procedural and then used an HDA. So one HDA this HDA here, the shape generator, replaces all this here. And then all this down here is replaced with this HDA, the belt knot tie. This is actually to simulate the knot tie. So this way it's more procedural. Let me see if my connection's still up. Jupiter. Hey. Okay, so the connection looks stable so far. Either that or I don't know. It's fooling me. Let's see how it goes. So that was from the last live stream. So there's that's one thing that I did. So that fixes the point to form issue. And then there was the new node issue, right? In the last live stream, I was using an older version of the node, the sweep node. If you go like here and go sweep, you're not going to get this node. This is the new one. This one here is the new one. And you can see there's only two inputs. So it behaves very differently from this. It's actually much better now. I will show you this. So that was the last live stream. Now let's see. Now it's asking for backbone curves. This is our backbone curve. We're gonna stick this in. And it gives you an error right away. No cross-section geometry provided. If you remember in the previous live stream we did here in this sweep node, I have this here. This is the backbone curve. It's well, for one thing, the inputs are reversed. This is the backbone. The second input is the backbone, as opposed with the newer sweep, it's reversed. This is the first input in the new sweep node. Then we also had this as being the cross section. So what happens is when you put down the curve, it does multiple of these along the curve. Let me see if I can hollow this out. Auto unclosed. Off. Oh, this is what it's doing. It's adding this cross section on every single point on the curve right here. So then it skins it so that it closes it off so that it looks like this. It connects all the sides so you can get a curve like this. Now the new sweep node doesn't have to be that as complicated anymore. So we have our curve, we stick it in the sweep node. We don't actually have to tell it what kind of geometry we want. It'll actually do it for us. So you start off with an error, you come over here and go surface tab, surface shape, second input cross section. Well, I'm not going to do that. I just want you to give me something round, and it'll do it automatically for you. Just remember again, make sure that they're not overlapping. Otherwise, you're going to have that same problem I had in the last stream. So what you can do here is you can make it a little smaller. So you use the radius and adjust the width of the belt. That's pretty cool. So I thought this new sweep node was much easier. So this is what I used to make changes to the last live stream. That's why it's more condensed now. You don't have all that gibberish here. All that is condensed into this one sweep node. Now everything else is the same except for this at the end when I do the point deform. So this is the original low poly belt. Now let's look at the UVs again. It is a little stretched here just because the Vellum Solver is pulling it up. Oh, and again, sorry, I forgot to mention. This sweep node creates UVs for you as well. So you don't have to mess around. You don't have to do that manually. Oh, you have to turn it on first. UVs, compute UVs. There you go. Now it has nice UVs. So in the sweep node here, go to UVs and attributes. Check this, compute UVs. And it'll add UVs for you automatically. So you get these nice UVs right here. So let's go back all the way down. Unfortunately, this is cached. So I need to redo this paint. This is very annoying, I know. Let's go here, reset. I just need to highlight the knot part so that it's more stiffer on the knot. This makes it easier for the Vellum Solver to figure out what to do. Okay. So the original low poly belt with UVs, with nice UVs, from all thanks to that sweep node, the new version of the sweep node. And here's the Vellum Solver. I'm just gonna run a few frames. So it ties it in. Now, in the last live stream, I didn't subdivide it before putting it into the point deform. So let's ignore this and see what it looks like. And we're gonna transfer the Vellum Solver knot tie onto the low poly proper UV version. And you get this. It's not as great. But what if I subdivide the low poly version so that the low poly has a little bit more polygons, and to help the point deform figure out which point to deform to where, because you're going to be feeding in more data. So the point deform is struggling because this low poly is a little too low poly. You can put down a subdivide before the point deform, and it'll have nice, more accurate results. And then you can also do another subdivide after the point deform to get a nicer result, a nicer, smoother result here. Let's check out the UVs. So we have nice UVs. Now you might be asking, why go through all that trouble? Why go through low poly, high poly, and then transfer it all the way back? That's because if I feed in this high poly version, let's see, it has 1,016,290 points. If I feed in this high poly version into the Vellum Solver, it will take forever to cook. And by feeding it, now let's see what kind of polygon I'm feeding it into the Vellum Solver. The low poly one is only 973 points. That's like a 1,000th of a fraction. That's very tiny. So it does speed up, and you can see how fast it was cooking. Like if I even continue the cooking, okay, it's just ruined the cache. Let me do it again. Look how fast this is cooking. So this is a performance optimization to do low poly and then high poly and then use the point deform to transfer everything and to to get something like this, a high poly geometry belt with fast cooking. That's why we have to go through all that trouble. Otherwise, I would just, if there wasn't any gain into this, I wouldn't go through all this trouble of transferring point deforming here, point deforming there, and then low poly that, and then retopologizing it here, and then stuff. This is why we do it, for optimizing the scene. Okay, that was a mouthful. So fixed, right, tiny overlap, so I gone through that. Old versus new sweep node, adding subdivide, before and after. Okay, awesome. That was, okay, now we can start on the new stuff. Okay, well, that was sort of new, leftover from the last stream. And today, I really wanted to show you the Belt Generator HDA, which I thought this was really nice. It was nice and simple, and it's easy to use. That's the most important thing. I mean, if you look under the hood in the HDA, you might be shocked. It's a little complicated down there. But I have a lot of notes, if you are curious. But it works. Let me just check the stream chat just to see if I'm still online. RBLX lookalike. How to set up the precision for collision detecting like this. Sorry, what would you meaning? The collision detection? You mean the knot tying part? Like in here, this part where it tries to figure out like this collision? You increase the substeps. So in the Vellum Solver, in the Solver tab here, for the substeps, try increasing it. I mean, this default, let me do this. The default is 1. So let's see but 1 gives you pretty nice results. Now, I'm going to return this to the default as well. So the time scale and the substeps. Now, this is what it looks default. Let's run it through. Okay, oops. Okay, it's actually still not too bad. But you can see it's struggling a little bit, like here. It doesn't know what to do. And you don't, it's still pretty good. It is low poly. So let's transfer it to our high poly count. So once you transfer it to the high poly count, you're going to see small, the normal, some of the faces of the normals are getting flipped over just because the Vellum Solver was struggling very hard. And when you start to see some of this stuff, this ugly normals being flipped over like this, you can come to the Vellum Solver, Solver tab, substeps, increase the substeps. Let me increase it to 5. And let's run it again and see what it looks like. And then I'll do the timescale. But I want you to see this step by step. Okay, you can see right off the bat, it's doing a lot better. Let's transfer it to the high poly count. Let's go down here. Okay. But it's still having a bit of trouble. Like, look at this. Some of the normals are getting flipped over. So let's try it again. But it's a lot better. It's a lot better than what it was before. Let's go back. Let's reduce the time scale to 0.5, so half. This parameter tells Vellum Solver how fast to apply the Vellum properties to make it we do have gravity. The only force acting on it is there's 2 forces acting on it. Gravity and this. We pinned this animation. I will show you this. So this animation, really it's just pulling it on both ends. So I'm pinning this end and this end into the animation. What that tells the Vellum Solver is the red points do not follow the animation. Do not apply the Vellum Solver computations on the red spots here. In fact, just do what the animation tells you to do. But compute for the green spots, I want you to apply your Vellum Solver computations. So that's what this pin does. It pins it to the animation. Oh, it's cooking. Okay. Now, by lowering the time scale, it will apply the Vellum computations slower. This will give it time for the animation of the pulling, like pulling the both ends, to slowly come into effect. It'll slow down the Vellum computations for the animation to take place. So let's see what it looks like with a slowdown of timescale and an increased substeps. Okay, it starts once it gets past this, it's because the ends are pulling it too much. This is lost. The knot is lost. So we have to go back a bit. The knot only exists over here. Now let's turn into high poly. Okay, so that gets rid of all our normal issues. Let me go here. There you go. Now once you get past little further, it gets pulled too tight and it starts to creep up again. So then you have to keep upping this. You have to keep upping the substeps and lowering the time scale and adjust it and find that sweet spot that you like. However, this may not be necessary. Like if we go back a couple of frames. Okay, you may be satisfied with this knot. Or you may be satisfied with this one. Like this looks like a pretty nice knot to me. You don't have to go all the way through. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, one is okay. It's not great, but it will work. So if you can fiddle around with those two parameters until you find the sweet spot. Margin. I hope I'm getting your name right. Great stuff. Awesome. Thank you. Procedural way. Oh, right. Okay. So now we can actually start on today's new topic, the belt generator HDA. Okay. Just let me get a glass of water. Sorry. Sorry about that. I'm still not feeling my best. Let's see. Right, so let's, the belt HDA. Now, if you come here and you type belt. Now this is HDA that I created. So if you go to your Houdini, oh, you know what? Let me just open up a new Houdini. It's gonna load. Okay, takes a while though. If you go to your own Houdini on your machine and you type belt and you search for the belt node, you're not gonna find it. That's because that's something that I created, and it's gonna be available for all the Perk 1, Perk 2 users. But I'm gonna show you how to create your own too. Okay, if I go here, this is a new Houdini instance. I did not install the belt generator onto the main Houdini library, so it's only available in this instance of Houdini. So I opened a new Houdini, I created a new geometry node, and I come here and I type belt. It's not going to be there. You're not going to find it. That's because it's not installed on this instance. I mean, you can install my belt generator onto the main library of Houdini, but since I'm still improving it, I tend not to do that just because a commercial version of Houdini. Anyways, it's gonna be dot L HDA and LC or not, depending what Houdini version you have. I have the indie, so that's why it says limited commercial, I think. So you take this path, the path of these two HDAs, come over here, assets, install asset library. So this is where you decide where you want to install the HDA into the current HIP file. So that's what I did. So it's only available on this Houdini instance. If I open another Houdini instance, it's not going to be available on that, as I just shown you. If you want it on the main Houdini library, you're going to have to choose the scanned asset library directories. Now, that means if I make a patch or an update, you're going to have to update that onto the main library as well. So I tend not to do that. I only use it on a per use basis, install it on a per use basis. Anyways, that's what I chose. Press this, find the file, come here. So you have the two HDAs. Let's choose this. You can select both and just accept. And then install. Now I already have it, so I already did that. Install this and it'll just work. I think I can install again. Let's try. Yeah, it'll just work. And come here and type in belt inside a geometry node. So it's not going to be available on the object level. If you come here, belt, it will not, that's not going to do anything. Okay, now let's take a look at what the belt shape generator does. Sorry, let me do a new one. That's probably easier. Now there's 3 outputs. Here, it's a belt shape, nerves, and vellum mesh. So let's do this. You know what? I have it over here. Instead of typing it, I'm just going to copy this over. There we go. This. Now let's take a look what this looks. This is the belt shape. Nice. This is our low polygon run. So quick UVs. Oh, it crashed. Just give me 1 second. Now the HDA does not crash your machine. I think I'm running out of memory. It's because I have too many things open. Let me see if I can close some stuff. Okay, I think that's cool. Okay, let's try this again. Give me 1 second. Oh, I should check the chat. Oops. Stuff. When are you begin? I'm so sorry. It is true. I noticed that too. I'm so sorry. It's just that I talk a lot. I like very thorough explanations. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing anymore, but it tends to make the streams really, really, really long. Yeah. I'm so sorry. Oh no. Okay, that's all right. So this is the belt generator I have. Okay. Now this is the belt shape I have. Let's do this again and don't crash. Okay. So it has nice UVs. Low poly because it's only 680 points and nice UVs. This one is the belt curve. So in case this is what you need, this is the nerves curve. I've exposed that out as an output if this is what you're looking for. And this is the vellum topology one, the one with the nice vellum mesh. So you can see this mesh is a lot more dense. you can see all this. 5,245 points versus the low poly one, which is 680 points. And another thing it contains is that, let me see, points. It has the vellum mesh one has the ends and the stiffness painted on it. Let me use a color node actually. Stiffness red, and I'm gonna do this green. Let's do that. Okay, so it already has the, so you can see what I was doing before. I kept on, every single time I changed the geometry, I kept on having to repaint it, repaint the ends, repaint the stiffness, the knot. This, repaint this. Every single time I changed the geometry, of the belt. Well, that's what inspired me to create this HDA, because I don't want to keep on painting it and redoing all that manual work. So this, if you like, this is automatic for you. So this is all done. Sorry. This, if you do wanted to change the belt shape, you can do it through some of these parameters, which I've exposed out from the generator. Now, what this does, if you want a larger loop here, now I don't have self collision or intersection detection. Like I don't automatically detect that for you. As I've mentioned before, that creates a problem. If you have intersection in your original belt, like if this belt thickness was like this, so you have points intersecting right here, this is going to cause a problem in the point deform, as I shown before at the beginning of the stream. I don't automatically detect that for you, so you need to be careful of that yourself. I don't know if it's possible to automatically detect that, but anyways, I don't have that for this HDA. What it gives you is a very simple way to create this simple knot very easily, procedurally. So you can like change the simple things of the way the belt is, like this hoop here, rotation. All I did was expose some of the curve nodes out. So that's what all these are doing. And there's the volume topology. This parameter here, that's this dense, this dense high polygon count. So if I change this to something smaller, you're gonna get a lower poly count here. If you want more higher, that's what this does. This is only for the Vellum topology. So this is what you feed into the Vellum Solver. This is the low poly with nice UVs. Now, if I put UVs onto this, I don't know, it's not gonna look right. It's all stretched, messy, and stuff like that. Let's take a look at the UVs over here. So here you can adjust the UV scale. So if this is not great for you, let me see if I put that in. Okay, yeah. If you want UVs like this, bigger UVs, smaller UVs, you know, this is exposed out. Let's take a look what I'm doing under the hood. So if you right click this, oh, I lost it. Because I already right clicked it. Let me drop down another one. No, the wrong one. Belt shape generator here. So you right click this, allow editing of contents. Just click that and you'll see an unlock thing here. You can dig into it. And you can actually edit it if you want to. So come here, double click. Now, some of this is very familiar. Instead of the curve, so in the previous one, I'm going to keep referring to the old way of doing the belt. Oh, let's... Okay. This is the old way of doing it, the manual curve. So I drew the curve manually, fixed it. So this is what you get. And in order to proceduralize this part, instead of drawing it with the manually, I used a circle. So I dropped down the circle, polygon circle without the face, and just broke one of the points out here. So the entire knot is based on this circle. Largest point number. So this is just like trying to label the ends. This is the front and other end. Just tedious things. If you come here, this is where I branch off. So this is the original circle. This is the other circle. Oh, move here. Here, let me put it down here. This is the original circle. From here, move it left, rotate it over. Just basically this is replacing the edit node from the previous one where I draw the curve and I edit it manually. That's what this is doing. Then I take the circle again, but I rotate it the other way so I can get the other circle. And when you combine it together, you're going to get two circles. Hopefully you can start to see the shape of the knot. Now this will start to get more and more and more. Oh, I added a dot here and more. So this is manual, move it over, move it left. So you can get approximately the circle. You might be asking, why am I going through all this? Why not just draw it out like what we did with the curve? No, this and then draw it out like that. Just do it once or just reuse that curve node I had. It's because I want to expose some of these out. If you come here, this is where I start exposing all the circles out. I call it circle controls. So you can see all this stuff here controls how this circle goes about. The rotation of this circle, which is this one. See these orange points? That's the first circle I'm controlling. So that will control how the knot will behave at the beginning loop, the first loop. And then the second loop is controlled with these ones, and I just expose all of the rotations. The pivot is not exposed. The uniform, which is the scale. And the second circle down here, that's the last loop. That's the last one here. So you have one loop, two loops, and then the third loop. So that's just exposing all that. That defines the shape. And I take this a little further. You don't have to know what this is doing. Basically, I'm using this to help me find the ends and the stiffness. Okay. Now, it's turned into a polywire because I drop down. Here's the curve. Here's the polypath. Convert. This is converting into a node, a NURBS curve, so it smooths it out. And then use the sweep. And then this is where you get the UVs. Expose the sweep node radius here. And UV scale here. So that's exposed on the upper. These parameters are exposed, so you can control what this belt looks like. This knot looks like. Remesh. This is for the vellum part. So you can see this is already outputted. This one here, after the sweep, it's, that's thrown out the door. That's the belt. Then we work on the vellum. So this will look a little bit more familiar. This is the remesh. I'm going to have to remesh it so I have better topology, more even distributed topology for the Vellum Solver. Then I'm going to, instead of painting the stiffness, I use the group node to group it. So this is where my knot is. That's what I'm saying. This bound I get from this. So let's take a look. This is an object merge knot area. Let's go over there. It's actually in the same place. It's just over here. Right here, this guy. It's just because it's easier to drop down object merge down over here instead of connecting it from here all the way here and you have lines going everywhere. So you can drop down object merge and bring this guy over here. Okay, back to the knot. Blast. So this is the knot right here. All I do is just drop a bounds here. Here I use the blast node to figure out which point is the knot. So actually I don't need this point. Let's take this out. What happens? This bounds gets more tighter. And what happens over here? Let's stiffness. Okay, there you go. We have a better area. So you can see it's not, the bounds is not quite getting the edges here. What I can do, take this bounds, increase it on all ends, just a bit, so that it covers everything. What I would like to do is tie this enlarging bounds parameter to the poly wire, to this radius, because this is why it's not catching the bounds. The bounds is drawn here, using these points as a reference to draw the bounds on. If this sweep node has a poly wire that's so large, it will extend out of this bounds, and this bounds will never know about it because we're drawing a bound over here before the sweep node is applied. That's the reason why I really should tie this radius onto this. Now I could apply the bounds right after here. However, this blast, look, I'm blasting only a few points. So it's much easier to decide what points to blast. And this curve will never change. This is my base curve. I don't expose how to modify the points of the base curve. The sweep node will always, the topology and the point count always changes on the sweep node depending on what the user specifies for the radius. So that's one of the reasons why. The vellum stiffness, so that's how I can get this stiffness. And this is the ends. The ends were really easy. The end bounds is this. Upper bound, lower bound, and show you this. So I put two circles on the last and the first point of the whole curve because of the nerve curve. Because there's only one point, and put two circles on it, and definitely that will get me two ends. So that was pretty easy. So this is almost exactly the same thing as we did in the previous live stream, except I'm not painting it. So there's no manual painting. That is this part. Oops. This part here, instead of manually painting it, which is what I did here in attribute paint, I did it with groups, and I specified the group using different types of objects like the bound and the sphere. So great stuff. Sorry. Okay, it looks like, did I lose anyone here? It says no data on my connection. Wow, today is really bad. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna keep going because I see that I still have people watching. Oh, there it goes. Excellent connection. Okay, the connection is really flaky today. I'm so sorry for that. I don't know why. So the ends are dynamic. Yep, the ends are dynamic and the stiffness is dynamic too. So as long here, oh, let's just do this. If I change this, it will keep. Well, if you go too high, it will start to mess up because the bound is drawn like this. Oh, but that's okay. The end is here. So you change the size of the knot, the stiffness and the ends will follow it as you go. Okay. Now, okay, let's just delete all this now. Or, you know what, here, I'll put out the here. Now that's all dandy, but you're probably thinking, where's my knot? There is a complementary node for the belt knot tie. So this contains the simulation. This contains the Vellum Solver simulation. Now it's 2 inputs. The belt shape, which is this one. So let's connect that. And then it's asking for the belt vellum mesh. That's this one. I don't care about the curve because the Vellum Solver doesn't need the nerve curve. So let's click this. What we get is a low poly one and a high poly one. Mesh. So this is more dense. Now this contains a simulation inside. So all you have to do is play it here. Give it a second. Because it is very high poly. I should have lowered down the poly count. Okay, so let that go through. I'm just gonna check the chat. Okay, that's good enough. There you go. A nice knot. This is the low quality one. High quality. Let's check the UVs. Oops. Nice UVs. So that's a lot simpler. Now let's look under the hood onto this knot tie and let's see what it looks like. Let's go down. Hopefully you can recognize a lot of similarities. So this is under the hood for the knot, the belt knot tie node, the custom HDA. Here's the paint stiffness. The pop VOP. Now let me just show you what it looks like here. This is the stiffness painted only on the knot tie here in the middle. If I go here and I look, oh my god. Here, you can see this part turns yellowish. That means we're in this area over here. It's 0.45-ish. Let me just go here. See, the stiffness has 0.4. So let me do this again over here. This is stiffness of 0. It's a clean cut. This contains a clean cut, which is not great for the Vellum Solver. Imagine if you have a cloth that's super stiff and it just suddenly drops to 0. That's not going to end up well. It's going to explode. The Vellum Solver is not going to know what to do. So I use the pop VOP, and the pop VOP only contains like a fit range, just so the bottom, there is no 0 stiffness. It's the lowest is 0.4, but you're keeping the upper, you're keeping the 1. So the full stiffness is kept. So that's what you get here. And this guy here is the same thing that we had before. It's from the previous one. It just stretches it, pulls the ends. And and that's exactly the same thing. You don't need the cache. You can cache it outside. So you don't need this. Vellum process. You can. I added 2 subdivisions, so it looks nicer. Subdivide before and subdivide after. Point to form. This will give you your topology. Here, and this becomes the knot tie, low poly. So this is the low poly one, they both have UVs. And I output, this becomes the output after the point to form. So everything is ready for you once it's done. This is the part where it's similar. This will look similar. This is an extra step I did in case you wanted the low poly one. Yeah, in case you wanted the low poly one. This is just available here. If you wanted more control. This here gives you everything. Like, it's nice. It's just ready. That's this here with the UVs. Or the low poly one with UVs. Whichever one you prefer. So that's the two HDAs. So you can actually create your own HDA. Because I've taught how to do this in the last previous stream. Let's go over here. That's this one. That's this whole thing here. To turn this into an HDA, well, one, you'll have to expose some of the parameters. Pick and choose whatever parameter you want. And then what you do to create an HDA, you have to be inside the geometry node. You have to be inside the geometry level. So you can't create, if you create an HDA on the object level here, you're gonna get an object level HDA. Like the belt will be here, which is not very useful. The belt being here is more useful. It's under the geometry level. What you do, drop down a subnet. So this is a blank, sort of like a group inside the node network. Take everything here, copy it. So Control C. Oh, let me actually do it. Control C. Go inside here. I'm gonna pull this down. Paste it in. Okay. I lost my out. Okay. Now what you do is take this output node, come over here. You want to connect it. This is what is outputted. Connect your out, your result to this, whatever you want it to feed outwards. Come up. The subnet will now contain everything. I'm this particular one. Let's do this. What I do want to show you is how to create, like, this subnet is not an HDA yet. It's just a subnet. It's just a group of nodes. So let me call it my belt. Okay, let's just call it my belt. I don't know. Lack of creativity. Okay, let me go. It's trying to cook every single time. Now, right click this and go create digital asset. Now I'm gonna put it in the same spot. Let me find a spot where I can find it. My belts HDA. Okay, I'm gonna put it in here. Go my belt. That's what I'm gonna call it. My belt. So be careful what you name it. Over here, this is the operator name. This is the name that you're gonna look up once you hit tab on the node network. It's gonna look this name up, not the label. This is the name that you're gonna look up. So name it something useful. Save it here. Okay, let's do it. Give it a second. Okay, awesome. I'm just gonna accept it. So I'm gonna go with my. So my belt appears on the tab. So now you have your HDA. So whenever you want to install this HDA onto another Houdini instance, just grab it, that file. What it did is create these, no, actually, wrong folder. It created, there's my belt HDA. It created this file. Just go to the assets, install asset library onto your new instance and it'll be available there. Okay. Let's see. So that's quick demo on how to use the belt generator. Yep. Quick demo how to create it. Yep. Create HDA live. Okay, so I sort of covered that. Belts generator expose blue boxes. Okay, so I did show you that already. It replaces the blue circles are replacing that 2 circles or that 1 circle that I branched off, exposing all the parameters out, replaces the old way of manually drawing the curve. That's this, like all these parameters here. Expose polywire radius and circle parameters like scale and rotation. So that's the stuff in the sweep node here, exposing this radius out. Belt thickness here. Oh, it's running through. Let me there. So that's this. That's this parameter I meant. Okay. Okay, now comes the fun stuff. Let's attach it to animated things. Let's attach this belt to something that's moving. All right. Now what I have here is I have a few different types of animations. One is the Oliver skin, the Vellum skin that I had shown you in a couple 3-4 live streams ago in order to improve using Vellum skin to improve character animation. So Oliver is has disproportional limbs. Okay. You can see here. His hand is intersecting the belly. So 3 live streams ago when I talked about Vellum skin is how to fix these intersections using the Vellum skin technique. So I'm not going to go over that. I'm just going to show you what it does though. Using the Vellum skin technique, look what happens now. The hand no longer intersects with the body. The body, like the hand is actually pushing the belly in and making room for it. Like, do with it? What do we do with this knot tie? How do you actually attach it to something that's moving and still get that cloth effect? Let's start with, let's not do Oliver. Let's start with the car. So that's this guy. Now this was done using, the car was sculpted using ZBrush long time ago. It's animated using this blender tool that this car rig tool that I bought on the Blender market. I don't remember what the tool was called. I think it was auto car. Oh, car animation out. So now we have this. Now let's pick a spot to attach it. I'm going to attach it at the end, just like how I showed you in the video. We can actually attach it somewhere else. Let's see. Let's attach it to the top here. I think that'll be more fun. Let's take points. Delete non-selected. Let's hit this and just pick a few points. Let's take this one and this one, and I don't know, this one. Okay. So these 4 points. I'm going to attach the belt in the middle right here. Let's bring in the belt. Go up, come up here. Okay, this is me demonstrating it live. I'm not going to be using this one. Gonna use this one just because this one's cached. This one. It's created the same way with the belt generator. I just have it cached out, so this is loading much faster. Paint. So this is painting. Now, there's one thing that the belt generator does not do for me is that once you come up here, oh, let me load the cache. This is the knot that you get. I manually painted where the knot is. Now, you might be saying, like, we already have that. That was the stiffness attribute that we painted on, right? Not exactly. Because the stiffness, let's look in here. Oh, stiffness. This one here. Sorry, this one here. Color. Just want to show you what the stiffness looks like. So in order to show you why we cannot use 0.3 and this is 1. I feed this, cache this out first. Group. I use the group and identify where the knot is. So it's called mask just because I didn't rename this properly. If you come to the attribute paint and attributes, you see attribute name mask. So everything you paint here will have the mask attribute name. What you look here in the spreadsheet, it will have the mask name and the value that you painted on. So it has the green. These are the green values, 0.5, 0. Whatever. The fall off area. This, the red is 1, which is the area that I'm interested in. I use the group node just to check. So this is for debugging purposes. All my debugging nodes are labeled black. Here, I put this into a group just so I can double check if it's working. So show me the group that is mask equals 1 on points. So it's this, the at here, this at symbol here, looks it up in the spreadsheet. And it looks for the mask attribute in the point spreadsheet here. And I'm saying equals to 1. If it is equal to 1, put it into this group, which is everything you see here, which is the knot tie. Now, this is what we need to import into our collision, into our car collision. Come back to here to the object merge. Import that knot with the tie. Knot. It has this. So now we need to put this knot onto the selected dots. Onto that. This knot over there. Now, due to the time constraints, because I talk so much, I'm gonna copy some of these parameters over, just so I won't have to redo them. All I'm doing is just rotating it. It's just gonna be a little faster. So take this knot, I'm rotating it. So here, rotate it 90 degrees. And I do have an offset. But this offset was done so that it's on the bumper of... So this is on frame 1. So it's on the bumper of the car. So we're putting it onto the headlight on the top here. I'm going to move it a bit. Let me just hopefully quickly, over here. I need a side view. Okay. Around here-ish. So just give it a bit of room. So it's not touching. Okay, let's make it a little higher. Just a little bit of gap here. Okay, I think that's good. But I should change the scale. let's do this. Transform. Now, if I change the scale like this, it's gonna pivot from from this origin right here. So if I change the scale, it's gonna move it, which is not what I want. So you need to change the pivot translation as well. I'm gonna use the center. So this is a Houdini expression to get the center position of the current geometry, which is, I don't know if I can show it to you. Come here, press enter. Oh, there it is. So the center position apparently is over there. I don't know how it's calculating that, but okay. This is where it's getting the center right there. And I want to see the car. So I want to scale this a little smaller. The knot is humongous. Well, we can keep it like that so we can actually see the knot. I guess we can keep it like that. We can keep the scale as is, but it's incredibly long. So let's clip it here and here. So it's a little shorter. So I'm going to point 100. Okay, and I'm going to turn this below. I'm just cutting it shorter. I'm just going to make it a little shorter. That's it. Oh, my computer's lagging really badly. Don't know why. Okay. So if you look carefully, the clip creates a hole on both ends. So you're going to have to polyfill it. Okay, there we go. So that caps it on both ends. We can do a fuse just in case if there's any dangling points. All right, then we have this. Now there's another thing I need to do though. If I play this, this is moving, it's not following it. Let's make it follow this blasted area, which is our target. These 4 points. We want this knot to follow these for those points. Now, how do we do that? The all handy point deform node. The point deform is asking for 3 inputs. The first one is the mesh to deform. Which one are we actually changing? Well, we want to update this guy. This is the knot. This is the geometry we're updating. So let's hook it up to the first one. Rest points for the ones that for our geometry in motion. The resting point. What does it look like when it's not moving? Well, that's this, but on frame 1. So let's lock it down on frame 1. Time shift. Where's it? Oh. There. And if I do this, it's not going to move. This is perfect. So this is the rest. Put it here. And this last one is the animated version. So it's deformed point lattice, which is the animated one. So this here, let's see what happens. Okay, so if let me take the template off. Okay. Oops, this one. Template off. Okay. Now where's the car? Let's template the car now. So it does follow it now. If you look carefully, it's not following it well. It's doing like, that's because there's no, this point doesn't have, what do you might call it? It doesn't have any primitives in my point selection. So it's not getting the orientation. let's pick a few more points. Wait. Just gonna take a look at what I had in my notes. Yeah, I need to pick some primitives on here so we can have some faces. Here, let's see. Let's do this over again. Okay. This, if you select, okay, let me start all over. Come on to the blast. Let's take these points out and press this button here so we can manually select it. Select one point, then hold down A on your keyboard and hover over the other points. You're gonna see like an edge loop. It'll automatically detect the edge loop, and you can select it all at once. So I'm gonna click that, and then hold down Shift, and then select another point and another point, and then you can A this, and you can use this way to select everything that's connected. But you know what? I'm gonna do it a different way. Let's do it a different way. This, and I'm just gonna lasso. This is probably faster. So I can get the brake light. Okay, now we have some primitives. Let's try the point to form. Okay, you can see here now that this thing is actually, the knot is following the direction, the orientation of the car. The problem is that this part's getting messed up. You can come to the point to form and adjust the radius until you get something you like. So just modify this until you get something you like. Okay. Now we need to take this knot and feed it into the Vellum Solver. However, we need to pin the knot area. Now, that's the area that we painted earlier. No, that's the area that I painted earlier. It was pre-painted. Sorry. It was called mask, because I forgot to label it. Red. Green. So that's this area. We need to pin this area to the animation. Okay. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. Let me get a drink of water. Let me go over the chat as well. Let's just see if you have any questions. Navi. I learned a lot from your tutorials. Oh, thank you. Have you tried Vellum Solver? I actually never heard of it. Let me see. Where is it? What is that? Sorry, what is this? Is this a Houdini thing? And Dennis Uniskoff. Thank you for the support. I will be uploading the hip files soon after this is over, so stay tuned. As for the Vellum Solver, I'm not sure. Can you give me more information on that? Okay. Where was I? Sorry. Right. We need to pin this. We need to pin the knot. That's the red spot there. We want to pin just that onto the animation. Everything else, we want the Vellum Solver to do its computations and apply its Vellum properties. So that's something we need to do. Now first, let's do this. Let me show you what it looks like before we pin the animation. Now, first of all, we want to convert the whole thing into a cloth. We want to convert this guy into a cloth. So I'm dropping down a Vellum cloth node. Now let's just simply feed it into the solver. Okay, let's see what happens. It just falls to the ground. Well, I don't even have a ground, but it just falls down because the only force acting on it is the gravity at the moment. Now, let's do it one by one. First of all, let's pin this knot to the animation. As you can see, this here is animated. This knot is actually moving. So let's pin that first. You come here, you go Vellum, and you go constraints. Let's see if there's a pin. Nope. Vellum. Oh, actually, no, sorry. It's here as well. It's cloth. Let me expose this out. Pin to animation. This is what I was looking for. Here, pin to animation. Which points? Well, we know which points. It's that knot, which I called it mask. Go at. Okay, let me expose. Here. Mask. Here. This. So the at symbol will look into the spreadsheet, and what are we looking for? Mask, because it's a boo-boo label on my part. I should have called it knot or something. And but we don't want the whole mask. We only want the mask that has 1 as a value. So let's go equals to 1, and then let's press enter. Let's see what happens. So this, you can see all the purple dots. That means it's pinned. So let's see what happens to the Vellum simulation now. Let's run it. Let me save it first. Oh, sorry. Come here, you have to check this. Match animation. Check this first, and then run it. There you go. It's running. The animation that it's following is this animation that we're doing here, the point deform animation. So that's this. Hopefully you can understand what I'm trying to do. I'm only locking down the knot part, but not like the rest of it. Like this part, the ends are free to flop around. And it's all the Vellum Solver computations are applied to the ends. The only exception being the masking. That's the point that we selected here. Things do get a little more complicated. You can do something like a soft pin, and it'll do like half. We can actually try it out. So we have it set up, so we can just try it out. Let's see what it looks like. So not too much of a difference, not for this. It's ruining this stuff, but this stuff is ruining because of something else. So let's just put it back to permanent and go back up. It's gonna cook a few frames. Where is it? Let's cook a few frames. Okay. Now you can see these points are getting ruined here. This is one of the reasons why I needed to paint a fall off. Here. Like you can see this fall off here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed this into the stiffness. I'm going to use this mask and I'm going to feed it into the stiffness. Now remember, the green parts are absolutely 0. I'm going to use this mask attribute values to define the stiffness that the Vellum Solver will use to decide how stiff the cloth will be, because you want the areas like this part to be more stiffer and avoid any normals flipping out. So let's feed it in directly, and then I'll show you how to modify it just a bit. So in the Vellum Solver, in the Vellum cloth here, scroll down, stretch, stiffness. Now it's set to really, really high, but it's still not good enough. I'm going to use this and I'm going to scale by attribute. The attribute name is called mask. That's going to sting for a while. Let's see what happens. It's going to explode though. Now, see this, the ends start to explode just because the ends have a value of 0 stiffness. The green, that's this green spot. Now, I want to show you, it is only the ends exploding because this area is 0, which is not, it doesn't work well. Vellum Solver doesn't like 0 stiffness. So, what do we do then? That's when I use that fit range. So I have the lowest, so this green part doesn't have to be 0. Let's do that. Let's drop down a point VOP here. Now, I'm going to take that bind and I'm going to get that mask attribute value. This bind retrieves or accesses the attributes in your spreadsheet. Bind export output creates or updates the value and writes it back into the spreadsheet. So in, out. I don't know if that helps anyone. That's how I think of it. Do a mask. Let's do this. Let's take and get it into the color. Oh, wait. I'm going to be renaming this. Let's call it knot. Now, you're not going to see anything yet, but okay. Mask. I'm going to feed this into a fit range. And it's just going to go 0 to 1 to 0 to 1. Except I don't want 0. I just want 4. Now, let's write this back out. Bind, export. And I'm going to do stiffness. So if you look here, stiffness, is that what I not have this? Not. Oh, sorry. Stiffness, there you go. So you can see this is more lighter yellowish. That means we're in this area of the 0.4 of this color range bar, as opposed to this one, 0 for the ends, and this one is yellowish. So everything's raised up except for this. It's clamped on the 1, so we're not going to exceed 1. Now let's come back over here to the Vellum cloth and let's update that. I called it stiffness. Back out. Vellum here. Let's feed it in. So here I just updated the scale. So we're going to scale the stiffness using our stiffness attribute, which is 0.4 here all the way to 1. So we don't have 0 stiffness anymore. Let's see what happens. It no longer explodes, that's for sure. But the whole purpose was to fix. Now you can see that this is not as protruding. The normals are not flipping as bad, but it's still doing it though. Some of it is improving it a bit. What we can do here is increase the stiffness. I'm going to increase the stiffness to 3. And I want to, this is the bend. How do you want it to bend? I want to make it more stronger rather than just because the car's going really fast and a lot of forces are acting on this belt. So let's make this a little stronger by turning up the stiffness of the bend as well. And I'm going to make it 100. Let's try this. Seems like it's not improving it too much. The normals are still normals are still flipped. Not great. Let's try scaling. Well, anyways, I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna point deform this. So a lot of these flip normals, I think this is good enough for now. Let's see what it looks like after we transfer the Vellum Solver back to the low poly, back to the original geometry. Oh, actually, no, this is the original geometry. Sorry, this is the original geometry. So let's see what happens when we throw down the vellum post, the post process. The post process. The one neat thing about this post process is that not only it can weld this welding is only useful for when you're doing like cloths, like what we're going to do on Tuesday. Is that we can do a subdivision on this. So I'm just gonna, whatever, this one. I can increase the subdivision and increase the quality of this knot, but it's still dangling. What you can do is detangle it, and it can go over a couple of passes for self collisions. This is really neat. It doesn't always work, like it doesn't always fix everything, but it's worth a try sometimes. Thickness, I'm gonna go up. So you can see this is the original Vellum Solver. This, okay. I'm gonna put 0 here so we can have a more and so we can see what the detangle and self collisions are actually doing. So this is before, this is after. It is helping it a bit. Oops, helping it a bit here. This is before, this is after. Let's turn this up. And let's go turn everything up. Find that sweet spot. Okay, I think that's it. I think 1 is it. I cannot. Self collisions. It doesn't save me. So it does improve it a bit. I mean, you have to keep on adjusting the bend stiffness and the stretch stiffness. Keep adjusting this so enough so that it holds its shape. Whew. Let's see. Okay, I've only attached this to one car animation. Haven't even started on the other ones. So I'm gonna leave it at that for this, but at least you know how to attach it to a geometry. And to get this to get rid of these flipped normals, you have to keep on playing around with the stiffness and some of the vellum properties. Let me see if I can do this. Let's see if we can. So I'm going to scale it by 10. Scale the bend stiffness by 10 and scale the attribute by the stiffness attribute. So we're just reusing this just for convenience. Let's try it. Okay, let's see if it... Okay, that helped a lot. Okay. That's good. So let's come to the Vellum Solver and the solver here, and let's turn up the sub steps as well. So this is like the last thing I ever want to do, just because this slows down the computer a lot. But let's turn it up to 5. Let's give it a try. Okay, while I run that, I'm gonna check the chat. Okay, let me see if I'm still online. Okay, the connection is on. Okay. Okay, I think that did the trick. Let me see. Yep, that did the trick. So the sub-steps does save you a lot. Try not to result to the sub-steps right away. Try to adjust the stiffness and the bend parameters just a bit to get it to a certain, adjust it a bit to get into that sweet spot right before you adjust the sub-steps, because the sub-steps is not a very optimal approach into getting rid of the collisions. You want to get your parameter values to a point where you can, where it's optimized enough to minimize the number of sub-steps that you need, is what I'm saying. To help as much as far as it can go before you go about increasing the sub-steps, which is very expensive. Adjusting these parameters here is very cheap. And you can turn it up super high, and it may not do much to your computer. Like, the performance may not be too bad. But turning up the sub-steps does cost a lot in terms of performance. So I'm so sorry for a very long session again. I planned to do like multiple animations, not just this one. You know what? We can still do it. Let's give it a try. Let's do it. So let's take this. I'm going to take this car and paste it. Oh, it's cooking, isn't it? Okay, let's take this. So it's the exact same setup. I'm going to label it Tommy Collision. So instead, let's turn this up. So this is a breakdance that I got on Mixamo. So I cannot share the Mixamo animations. You're gonna have to go to the Mixamo and find it, dig it up. Now I'll put a link in the description, and as well as what the title of the animation is called. I'll put that up so you can find it on your own. But you do need to sign up for an Adobe account in order to use Mixamo. All the animations are free, but I don't have the rights to distribute it. So you're going to have to go download it yourself and then just stick it into the file. Stick it into the hip setup. Oh, and I should show you where to set it up. It's the one labeled Mixamo animation. Here. So this is the fist fight one. You know what? I won't do that. Let's do this. This is the breakdowns. There you go. And this, I'm just getting the rest pose out of it. Okay. Oh, I have to put the render flag back down. So I'm not going to talk about this KineFX rig. That's in the previous 2 streams. You can go over that. The point is to attach the belt to his forehead. So we have our setup of the car animation where the belt is attached to the car animation. What we're going to do something very different here is attach it to Tommy's forehead. And you'll see that this is very simple since we already have this whole thing already set up. Well, first of all, replace the car. Come here. Oh, you know what? Let me just go here. Select this. Control C to copy the path. Come here, object. Come here. Tommy. Put it in here, and this is now breakdance. See. Okay, so he's here. Now, let's select. We also have to update the selection as well, because this is no longer selecting the brake lights. We want to select his forehead. Zoom in. And I'm going to get my lasso. Okay. And let's do something like that. Okay. So we got a piece of his forehead. We also have to update the offset. So this is the belt here. Knot. Rotate. Now Tommy's over here. We're gonna template that. Offset position. Now that's where the car was. So we're gonna have to change this position. Select this. I'm gonna enlarge this. This to get into this 4-piece view, you can. There's a shortcut on the keyboard. Control 4, like 2 button combinations, or Control 1 to go back. Control 4 for 4 setups. Control 1. 4. Okay. I think I accidentally switched this. Okay, top. Side view. Now let's take this and put it right on his forehead. Now I'm not gonna change the scale. I know it's gonna be ridiculously huge. Okay, let's change the scale. You know what? Oh, there. That's not enough. So let's clip it more up to the arm length. Clip here and then adjust it up to arm length. Polyfill to fill the ends. Okay, the polyfill is not working. I don't know why. Clip here, polyfill. I don't know why the polyfill is not working. Yeah, I really don't know why the polyfill isn't working. Why? Not offset. Let's get rid of this. Clip. What did I do? Below. Above. Polyfill. Mine should work. Okay, I don't know. It filled this side, but it didn't fill this side for some strange reason. I wonder if I do another polyfill. Okay, you know what? I can still close that end. I don't know why the polyfill is not working on this side. But we can fix that very easily. This. Okay, let's just do this. I'm gonna drop down a fuse. But I'm only gonna fuse those points. So come to the fuse to the upper side here, group, select 1 point, hold down A, and I'm gonna use this trick again. Shift A to select the entire loop, enter. Now I'm gonna turn up the fuse like crazy. There you go. A cheap way to do a polyfill. The only problem is now I have to remesh it. Okay, let's do that too. Let's fuse it again to make sure everything's one piece, and then let's remesh it. Okay, that's good enough. I think that's good enough. Okay. I lost all my paint. The knot. So I do have to paint it over. I did not expect the polyfill to not work. Okay, let's do this really, really quickly. Paint attribute and paint the knot because I've lost it. I lost my knot. So what I want to... Oh, it's actually still there. Okay, that's not too bad. Then let's just keep it. The knot is still there. Okay. And we still have our point deform, which puts the new stiffness attribute derives the new stiffness attribute from the knot. So we get that 0.4 area, green, yellowish area. Feed it all into here. And let's see if it works. Let's template Tommy. Okay. Oh, there is one thing I just remembered that I forgot in the car animation. Is I forgot to hook up the collisions to the vellum. So you can see here that this is going through. It was going through Tommy, and that's how I remember. See, this is intersecting him. Because the Vellum Solver, I forgot to connect this to Tommy, which is the collision. That the third input of the vellum cloth and the Vellum Solver is the collisions area. So you want it to collide with Tommy. That's this. Let's do this again. Okay, let me do this. This way it can collide with Tommy. You can see that it's colliding right here. It's hitting, the elbow is hitting the cloth right here. There you go. See? There's collision happening. That's something I forgot to do in the car. Just give me a second. It's cooking. So yeah, here. This is the car animation. Here. And I did not hook it up to the cloth. That's what this here. And let's go to the car here. Okay, let's try this again. It doesn't, I guess it's not too much of a deal for the car animation because it's going forward and all the force is acting upon the belt is pushing it back, which has nothing to collide. Okay, so I think I power drived it all the way through. I mean, we did the break dancing, we did the car animation. We didn't do all of it, that's fine. I think that's okay. I will include these animations for you, except for the mixable animation. You'll have to go and download that yourself, but I will include the Tommy rig. Now, Tommy is a character that's built into Houdini, so it comes with Houdini anyways. So it's just a node in the Houdini setup. So that makes it easy to share. Did I lose anyone? Is anyone still here? It was a huge, extremely long stream again, just as usual. I do apologize for that. I think the intro, I gotta work on the intro and speed up the intro and not like this stuff is way too much intro stuff. I gotta work on that. There's so many more topics I want to talk about. By the time I prepare for the live stream, it's like I've already, because preparation of the live stream is more like, it's very tedious work. It's like, okay, how am I supposed to demonstrate this? And I gotta think of like a thought process. And by the time I'm already doing that, I'm already exploring new topics outside. And then I'm already doing other stuff that I'm so excited for. And that's where the intro is the chance where I get to like showcase some of that. I should make like a different stream to showcase stuff and a different stream to like teach stuff and a different stream for like the Q&A. And then make them shorter. Hopefully make them shorter. I don't know. My streams are so long. So anyone, any questions? Super tired as usual. Yeah. Last call for questions. And then I'm gonna end it off. But if you have any questions afterwards, you can always leave a comment and leave a question in the comments. And when I see it, I'll answer them as soon as I can. Cool. I can't tell if I'm still online or not. But you know what? I'm just gonna end it off. So thank you all for joining me, and it's been a really, really long stream. So thank you all for surviving through the whole thing. And I hope you enjoyed this. Tell me what you like, what you don't like. And I know they're long, so please don't say anything about that. I'm working on it. If there's any other topics you want to see, maybe mention them in the comments. I won't be able to do them right away because preparation takes a long time, but I will put it into the list, and the queue is slowly progressing through. So I do remember all the requests. It just takes a while to get through them. So, remember there's another live stream on Tuesday on the clothing creation, and we're going to make the vest without the sleeves to make it a little shorter. Hopefully shorter. I do have long explanations. I'm working on it. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.